In the NFL, embarrassment isn't just cranked up to 11, it's off the charts. One guy got a jaw-breaking punch across his face, and another tried to pull off a fake penis for his drug test appointment. And from there, it only gets worse. These are the 20 most embarrassing moments in NFL history. And first, we've got to take a trip all the way back to the 90s, because even after 3 long decades, it's not just one of the most embarrassing moments ever, it's also easily one of the most chaotic moments in football history. Number 20. Kevin Gilbride gets a jaw reset. Things got pretty heated between Houston Oilers defensive coordinator Buddy Ryan and their offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride back in 1993 because Buddy wasn't exactly thrilled with Kevin's strategy of airing out the ball late in games. So you can imagine the simmering tensions brewing on the sidelines. But it wasn't until the regular season finale against the Jets that things went from simmer to boil. Just before halftime, quarterback Cody Carlson fumbled a snap, and that's when the powder keg exploded. Buddy and Kevin got into a heated exchange that escalated faster than a wide receiver on a streak route. And before anyone could blink, Buddy swung a punch that landed square on Gilbride's jaw. Ouch! Now, getting punched in the face like that is embarrassing, no doubt, but it's certainly not as embarrassing as number 19, the nipplegate incident. As cringeworthy as that sounds, it all went down during the halftime show of Super Bowl 38, with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake lighting up the halftime show. Fans were grooving and the atmosphere was electric. But then, Justin's hand slipped and accidentally tore Janet's dress, revealing more of her than anyone bargained for. The incident was so embarrassing that it overshadowed the Super Bowl itself. It even earned itself an embarrassing nickname. Speaking of embarrassing nicknames, this next one will have you laughing until you roll off the couch. Number 18, the Whizzinator. And no, it's not some made-up word from a comedy sketch. It's a nickname born from the antics of former Minnesota Vikings running back, Ontario Smith. You see, all NFL players are mandated to do a drug test every single year to ensure that players aren't using drugs to improve their performance. And just when it was Smith's turn, he decided to stroll in with a fake urine kit, complete with dried pee and a fake penis. Long story short, Smith was busted and suspended for the season. Okay, that plan wasn't just embarrassing, it was a total failure. And you know what else is a failure? Number 17, Deshawn Jackson's failed touchdown. During a Cowboys vs. Eagles showdown back in 2008, things got pretty embarrassing for Deshawn. See, as a rookie, Jackson was just bubbling over with excitement, and just like clockwork, it got the best of him. After snatching a beautiful pass from Donovan McNabb, Deshawn raced towards what looked like his first NFL touchdown. But in his excitement, he let go of the ball and celebrated before actually making it to the end zone. Whoops! The touchdown was revoked and the ball was moved back a yard away. Well, at least he was close. Wish you could say the same for the Redskins in what turned out to be number 16, the worst defeat ever. The 1940 NFL championship game wasn't just embarrassing, it was downright humiliating. On one side, you had the Chicago Bears making history with the most lopsided victory ever seen in the league. And on the other side, the Washington Redskins suffered the worst defeat imaginable, getting obliterated with a jaw-dropping score of 73-0 in their own home. Now, getting beat up like that in your own home takes embarrassing to a whole new level, but getting caught cheating takes it even a notch higher. Number 15, the Deflategate Scandal. The scandal erupted when Brady was accused of messing with the footballs during an AFC Championship game against the Colts back in 2014. And even though they didn't find evidence directly linking him, Brady did destroy his cell phone prior to it being used in the investigation. Now, that's pretty fishy, right? But hey, at least his embarrassing moments are not the first thing that comes to mind when you think of him. Can't really say the same for the next guy because the only thing he's remembered for is number 14, running the wrong way. It happened back in 1964 when Jim Marshall made this insane 66-yard run down the field. The only problem was, he was running the wrong way. Yup, he recovered a fumble, sprinted all the way back to his own end zone by mistake, and then tossed the ball out of bounds in celebration, only to find out that he had just given the other team a safety. Similarly, in 2015, number 13, Dan Orlovski ran out of the end zone. Dan Orlovski's entire NFL career is mostly remembered for one infamous play. Unfortunately, that play just happens to be one of the most embarrassing things ever. During his first career start with the Lions, he found himself backed up in his own end zone. But instead of throwing the ball away safely, Orlovski ran out of bounds, resulting in a safety for the Vikings and handing them 2 easy points. There are a load of embarrassing blunders in the NFL, but this next one deserves a mention. Number 12, the Butt Fumble. If you're a Jets fan, you probably already know all about the Butt Fumble, when quarterback Mark Sanchez accidentally collided with his own teammate's backside, causing chaos on the field. The Patriots swooped in, snatched the ball, and scored big, leaving the Jets fans shaking their heads in disbelief. That's almost as embarrassing as the time, number 11, Leon Lett had the slip of a lifetime. Back in 1993, it was the Cowboys versus the Dolphins in a game that turned out to be anything but ordinary. Lett went in to recover a blocked kick, but unfortunately, he slipped and sent the ball forward. That single mistake handed possession over to the Dolphins with mere seconds left on the clock. It was so humiliating that it was dubbed the 1993 Thanksgiving Classic. Now, this list would be incomplete without mentioning number 10, Stephen Tlock's ACL celebration. See, Tlock didn't have too many big moments, so when he sacked Aaron Rodgers back in 2014, he celebrated like there was no tomorrow. But in the midst of all that excitement, Tlock tore his ACL, and unfortunately, it turned out to be so bad that his season ended prematurely. If that wasn't bad enough, the Lions released him soon after. Talk about a double whammy! And speaking of whammies, there's nothing that screams whammy louder than number 9, the accident. It's got to be one of the most embarrassing and completely avoidable moments in NFL history. In 2003, Jack Del Rio, the Jaguars head coach at the time, had this stump in the locker room for some team-building morale boost. Players would take turns chopping it with an axe, you know, for that rugged, tough guy vibe. But when it was Chris Hansen's turn, well, let's just say his aim was a bit off, and with that, he drove an axe into his own foot. Now that must have hurt like hell. But at least it's not as embarrassing as number 8, getting fined a whopping $250,000 for cursing. In 2019, the Titans made the headlines after totally wrecking the Bills in a game with a score of 41-14. Apart from the insane scoreline, the NFL also went bananas when Titans owner, Adams, was caught on video flipping the middle finger at the Buffalo bench. Adams ended up getting slapped with a hefty fine of $250,000. But hey, it's not so bad when you consider the fact that the Patriots were fined almost triple that amount due to number 7, the Spygate Scandal. So, back in 2007, the New England Patriots, led by their 3-time Super Bowl champ coach Belichick, got busted big time for allegedly cheating. They were caught red-handed videotaping other teams' coaches' signals, which is also a big no-no according to NFL rules. As punishment, they had to give up a first-round draft pick, cough up $250,000 in fines, and Belichick got slapped with an extra $500,000 in penalties. That went south real fast, just like number 6, Robinson's moral compass. Before Super Bowl 33 in Miami, Eugene Robinson was honored with the Bart Starr Award by Athletes in Action for his supposed high moral character. But the night before the big game, Eugene got caught doing some pretty shady stuff. He ditched his wife at the team hotel and tried to pick up, let's just say a lady of the night. But things didn't turn out the way he planned. He was busted because the woman was actually an undercover cop. Now this is what you call embarrassing, but in capital letters. Anyways, our next embarrassing NFL moment has got to be when, number 5, a missing helmet cost a Super Bowl victory. During Super Bowl 26, someone stole Thurman Thomas's helmet right before the game. As a result, he had to sit out on the bench at the start of the game until he got his gear back. By the time he returned to the field, it was too late, and the Bills ended up losing 37-24 to the Washington Redskins. Another epic embarrassing Super Bowl moment played out when, number 4, Denver Broncos were dismantled by Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 48. Things started off pretty rough for the Broncos during Super Bowl 48. And by rough, we mean off the roof embarrassing right from the get-go. They snapped the ball into their own end zone, giving up a safety. And from there, it was all downhill as the Seattle Seahawks piled on 36 unanswered points. Denver did manage to score a touchdown late in the third quarter, But let's face it, the game was already a blowout. In the end, they got trounced 43-8. Damn! And now that we're down to the top 3, let's crank the embarrassment up to 11, shall we? Starting with the time, number 3, Chris Godwin crapped his pants. In his rookie season, Godwin was out there trying to prove himself, but his quarterback, Jameis Winston, wasn't exactly on fire that day, and the Bucs ended up losing to the Vikings. But on top of dealing with the disappointment of the loss, poor Godwin had to deal with a bit more. Turns out, the cameras caught a brown stain on his pants, so he had to do a quick cleanup job on his underwear. But at least he wasn't caught crying like this next guy. Number 2, Quay Walker went goo goo gaga. You see, football players can be crazy sometimes, and in 2023, Quay Walker took the crazy guy spotlight when he shoved a member of the Detroit athletic staff during an injury unprovoked. The result? He got ejected ASAP. Now, what had a lot of folks rolling was the fact that he cried like a toddler when taking his walk of shame back to the locker room. Next time, take your L like a champ, baby boy. And now that we're down to number 1, we've got to talk about the time. Number 1, Matt Hasselbach got thrashed after trash talking. Matt, who was the quarterback for Seattle at the time, totally put his foot in his mouth right at the start of overtime when he boldly said, "We want the ball and we're gonna score." Well, there's a reason it's number 1 on this list. Matt was right. He did throw a pass leading to a touchdown, but it was a pick 6 going the other way for the Packers' victory. So you can just imagine how red-faced Matt must have been after the game. So there you have it, frenzies. Which moment made you cringe the most? Let us know in the comments.